What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfella. We back with Motor City Sports Talk. Don't forget to check the links in the description. We have the new podcast link. We're gonna do it on Castbox. I'm gonna mix it with my other channel podcast. I'm gonna be dropping some free agency spotlights on there. I won't be doing on YouTube. I'm gonna get on that hopefully this weekend if everything falls in place. Also, the other channel link. Told you guys we're gonna do a lot of draft talk on there. With my homie John JG. He's a Dallas Cowboy fan, but he's very knowledgeable. Football coach as well. But let's get to the topic of discussion. Also, by the way, we're going to do a mid-season wrap-up for the Detroit Pistons or something like that before the All-Star weekend is over with, God willing. But talking about Golden Tate for Jarvis Landry in some type of swap. Let me say a few ways this can happen. If Jarvis Landry walks in free agency, which is doesn't seem like it's going to happen. He's with the Miami Dolphins. I'll explain this game in a minute. If he walks free agency, the Lions could trade Golden Tate for a pick and keep it moving. And if they could, and that's if they can sign Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. He's a former LSU guy with Odell Beckham, former teammate. Odell wants him in New York with him. Him and Miami been having problems. The Miami Dolphins. But he's been productive. He had 112 catches last season with 9 touchdowns. Forgot the yardage, but he's a very productive slot receiver. Very productive, short-handed, great route running. Now, here's the lowdown on Go Golden Tate. Like 2 years ago, I think we got blew out by Arizona in that season. Golden Tate, he gave up. It showed me that when he got his money, he came in and made an impact. But when he got in the middle of that deal, Golden Tate, 2 years ago, that Arizona game, around that time, that whole season, he was just giving up. He was getting benched. This season, in the first game versus Arizona, it was a pick, and he didn't try to run it down. He had a lot of, key drops. He had fumbles. And at the end of the day, he's not worth number one wide receiver money, and that's what he's going to want to command on that market. He's a good slot receiver, but at this point in his career, Jarvis Landry's a better receiver, especially with an athletic and short shuttle quickness. He can stretch the field better than Golden Tate a little bit at this point in his career. I know Detroit Lions fans are attached to Golden Tate, but I think he's wore out his welcome in Detroit, especially with some of the key drops he had last year and Jim Bob Cooter's inability to really scheme for him. Now, you can make a case for that for Jarvis Landry as well. Say, Jim Bob can't scheme for Golden Tate, then how can he scheme for Jarvis Landry? That's a fair question. Very, very fair. But I believe Landry at this point in his career is a better slot than Golden Tate. And Golden Tate, in my opinion, isn't the best slot in the NFC North. It's Adam Thielen. And maybe Rondell Cobb, when he's healthy, is better than him as well. But Landry, I like Landry. And it depends on what type of money he's going to command. But if I had to get number one receiver S-type money to either one of these guys, it'd be Jarvis Landry, obviously because he's younger. He's more focused. And he had his problems off the field, and so is Golden Tate. So is Golden Tate, with allegedly having an affair with Russell Wilson's ex-wife right before the draft, breaking into a donut shop because he was hungry for donuts. A lot of people don't know that story. He was out of Notre Dame. I always thought he was better than Michael Floyd. People call me crazy, and it's been determined in the pros he has been. But I'm just not open to giving Golden Tate a lot of money, especially after he got to like year 2 or 3 of this deal. He just gave up. Critical drops, boneheaded play. People say, well, he's the number one leader in yak yardage. I mean, it was several games this season where he had minimum yard, like 20 yards. I think he only reached 100 yards this season like 3 or 4 times. And he's an older receiver. And he drops the ball in critical situations. He fumbles the ball in critical situations. He has mental lapses at the wrong time, in my opinion. He does. It's not opinion, it's fact. And it's time for the Lions to move on. I mean, why wait till, this season to move on from him? You got Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones on the outside, both proven, or going to be proven to Kenny Galladay. I think he's going to be legit. You can move on from Golden Tate, not bring in Jarvis Landry as well. I mean, TJ Jones can do what he do in the slot as long as he stay healthy. I could take that, and you can bring in Jimmy Graham or somebody else, Trey Burton. You can bring in that. But in my opinion, I think it's time for Golden State to move on this season. You're not going to pay that man, top dollar. But I would like to see Jarvis Landry in there with Matthew Stafford. It's not imperative. It's not a must. I'm not saying that, this has to happen. I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. I would like to see it happen for Jarvis Landry for the right price. But if I had to have an ultimatum, somebody say you got to get Golden Tate type money or you got to get Jarvis Landry type money, I'd rather just give it to Jarvis Landry. If he gets transition franchise tag or franchise tag, I swap him out for Golden Tate like that. And I trust in my management that I can sign Jarvis Landry. But in a perfect world, what I would do, I would trade Golden Tate. I'm sorry. I would trade him. I would let TJ Jones work the slot. I would draft a slot receiver just in case. Bring in Jimmy Graham or Trey Burton to work with Eric Ebron. Let Ebron or Jimmy play the slot and share time with slot with TJ Jones and the rookie till we find out what's that. Let Ebron play the tight end and let him and Jimmy intertwine in the slot and be H-back and be creative. You save yourself a little bit of money. Jimmy Graham not going to command a lot of money. Trey Burton is not going to command a lot of money. That's probably who you want to go for. He's athletic. He can catch. He showed it in Philly. Towards the end, he's a good tight end. Former quarterback, but he's transitioning to tight end well. And I rock out that way. But what I like, Jarvis Landry in Detroit, absolutely, he's a baller. Short-handed, good in the red zone, get a running game. He's a better Golden Tate at this point in his career. I know a lot of people love Golden Tate, but, I'm going to tell you guys, it's going to happen. If it don't happen this year, he's in the last year of this deal. He's not going to be with the Lions at the next year. I'm trying to tell you. So you might as well jump ahead of that 8 ball and make a move. But be on the lookout for the free agent spotlight for YouTube today. We're going to get it in once again. Haven't figured out who we're going to spotlight today. But, this is just a thought. I know a lot of people are going to be up in arms, but it's just a thought. I don't have any inside information. It's just something I like to see happen. And other alternatives I like to see happen with Golden Tate. But we out.